Before we begin, two messages. What mobile platform do companies like eBay, NBC Universal, the Los Angeles Times, Razorfish, and PayPal use to build their cross-platform native applications? Titanium by Appcelerator. They aren't alone. There are now over 25,000 apps deployed by Appcelerator, which has been called the Rosetta Stone of app development. And you can start now for free. Just go to www.appcelerator.com for more information. When my company needed to develop a key mobile product, one that I was counting on as a new source of revenue, I knew exactly who to turn to. Macadamian. They delivered on time with incredible attention to detail, and I was able to get product into customers' hands faster than I ever thought possible. I've personally known them for 10 years, and they do make great products even better. Check them out at www.macadamian.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Untether.tv. I'm the founder, Rob Woodbridge, and your host. And we are here for a special episode. We're going to talk about not so much a company, but we're really going to talk about an industry. And this is a really fascinating one because I've had a lot of questions about how do I use mobile to actually bring customers into my store, my place of business. And in this instance, we're going to talk about in the hospitality industry. How can you use mobile marketing to augment your message, bring customers in, and leverage this great space that we love so much in the mobile space? And I've got a great guest. You've seen him before here. In fact, we did a session in August on engaging with your customers through mobile, and it's Michael Ahearn, who is the founder and VP of strategic marketing for a company called iLoop Mobile. Michael, thank you for coming back on and doing this and sharing this insight we're about to dive into.
Yeah, the pleasure's mine. Nice to be with you again.
Well, it's a sign of I rarely have guests back twice. I could have you back, I think, every day, every week. We're going to get some information on you. And this is a really interesting topic. I know you guys did a webinar on this recently. And I'm so fascinated about how, there's segments like mobile as an enterprise tool, mobile as an entertainment tool. But one of the areas that I do get a lot of questions is literally hospitality. How are companies using this? Because they're not really interested in giving a lot of discounts. So how do these companies use it? And that's really what was fascinating about this. Timing was great that you guys did this.
It was great. I'm glad it was right on the ball in terms of subject matter.
Well, and hopefully for those folks that are listening or watching, you can take some of these lessons that Michael's about to get into with you to your own business as well. So why don't we start? First, refresher on what iLoop is so that we can frame this properly.
Sure. iLoop Mobile, we're a company that have been around since sort of the inception of mobile marketing. We're one of the most experienced firms out there. I remember going around knocking on people's doors and introducing them to the concept of a shortcode. It's kind of like the famous Vince Lombardi thing where he held up a football and said, "Gentlemen, this is a football." I remember those days well. We're very far from that now, thankfully, but we sort of were pioneers with arrows and backs, as it were. But we are a solutions and service provider for mobile marketing to the largest brands, the largest publishers, largest hospitality companies, as well as agencies and other enterprises, helping them use the mobile channel for their key business and marketing needs. And that covers SMS, MMS, which is making a really big surge right now in terms of use and utility, mobile internet sites, apps, CRM-based messaging, point-of-sale couponing, and a ton of other mobile marketing. And in fact, not even mobile marketing. I like to use just the word marketing channels for companies of every stripe.
So you were last on in August, which is a couple of months ago. If you're thinking real time, if you're listening to this in a couple of years, it was a couple of years ago.
That seemed like yesterday.
Yeah, I know exactly. I think our conversation it was still going, right? We've just carried on the conversation. Right. It was a long and good one. But have you seen any? I mean, over the last couple of months, August, September, and through to October. I mean, has it just been a surge? Has it been smarter marketing? Has it just been an awareness increase? Or has it just maintained the status of where we were back then?
I think we're seeing some real critical mass happening right now, especially in view of the rise of penetration of smartphones, the rise of Android, the rise of the iPhone, some of the policies that we see now with the release of the iPhone 4S, the fact that you can get 3G, you can get iPhone 3s for nothing now.
Yeah.
We're going to see basically, we're going to see things light on fire very quickly, especially in mobile internet, since the access to smartphones now will be a quote-unquote free device with your subscription to mobile services. Mobile internet will become ubiquitous very quickly.
Well, and we're starting to see that as well. I mean, Google has put a lot of emphasis on the fact that if you want to come up in mobile search, make sure your website is mobile ready. And if it's not, well, you're basically SOL. You're going to be stuck down at the bottom of the pack, even though you've done your SEO properly on the web. So really, mobile web that's the thing that I've seen is it's come of age, shall we say?
It has certainly come of age. So now I think we're going to see a lot of movement for everyone to get their mobile presence actually done now, because it's no longer an option; it's now mission critical.
Well, so what was it about this space that you were looking at? I know you've broken down, but you've done other webinars around specific topics, but it's usually been around SMS or using short codes and that kind of stuff. So what was it about the hospitality industry that you kind of keyed into? How are they or aren't they using mobile today?
Well, it's interesting you say that, is that before, the conversations used to be more around technology and introducing people to technologies and familiarizing people with the different channels and technologies. And with the maturity of mobile marketing, we now see, and this is something that iLoop Mobile has been focused on for a while now, is vertical focus is now really key. And in other words, stop talking to people about technology and talking to them about their particular industry, business needs, and marketing needs. And so we approach things from a very vertical focus. In the hospitality webinar and our focus on hospitality, we realize that different businesses have different needs and the channels are used in different ways. So I think with the maturity of mobile marketing, you'll see a lot more vertical focus. So in terms of hospitality, obviously hospitality has some very specific needs and specific characteristics. One of the key ones is the international component to the hospitality industry, in that you, in most cases, aren't going to be talking with a client who has one business in one country, but you'll be needing to serve the business and marketing needs for an industry and for companies that have quote-unquote stores or properties around the world.
Right. And really, mobile is kind of that ubiquitous piece that can tie all of this together.
Correct, yeah, because the traveler is mobile. Yeah. So we know that 77% of frequent business travelers today use mobile for trip planning. So mobile is part of their customer base, and it's not just a small part. It's the lion's share of their customers are using the mobile device for all of their trip needs. So obviously, as these companies, whether they're hospitality or travel-based or spas or resorts or whomever they may be, they very quickly realize that they need to address their customers through the device, because it is the #1 device of importance to them as they travel and as they're actually in the traveler consumer mode.
You know, it's funny because I agree. Usually it's a destination, right? So when I arrive at a hotel, I've booked that hotel somehow. I've reserved it, and I've landed in the city, and I'm going to that hotel. So it strikes me as the hospitality industry around that space, around hotels. You know, do they need, like, what kind of strategies do they need in order to attract me when I've already decided on the hotel? You know, I used to be that guy who would arrive in a city and say, okay, where am I staying? But you know, I gotten a little smarter. You know.
Well, part of the thing is that the traveling customer or the traveler is they're in the unique position of a unique need of not knowing what to do. They're in foreign territory, right? So when I'm traveling, I need that oracle to tell me where I should eat, what I should do, where I should go get a drink, where the concert is, and what's going on inside the actual property of the hotel itself. When's luau hour? When's the happy hour? Where's the spa? What different sort of incentive deals might be available to me at the hotel while I'm there? So there's a massive need for information of the traveling customer, the traveling consumer, and the mobile phone, and the hotel hospitality industry. The merging of those two needs is really pretty evident.
So, I mean, when we talk about this, this is not just hotel centric. I mean, when you talk about hospitality industry, you're talking about restaurants, you're talking about hotels, you're talking about theme parks, you're talking about pretty much anything, shows, that kind of thing. Or is it do we contain ourselves to the big ones, which are hotels and restaurants?
Yeah, you could. The thing is, there's a lot of crossover in this, right? So the question is Yelp a hospitality marketing, endeavor or initiative? So there is a lot of crossover. Where we've really sort of concentrated, or not concentrated, but to keep things to keep the scope of today's talk small enough so that we don't sort of try skinning the buffalo entirely, is hospitality really means travel based, and not talking about airlines or booking air flights or that kind of thing, or check-in at airports or whatever. But it's basically me going somewhere that is a visit environment, right? It could be restaurant, but restaurants have very different needs than a hotel do.
Right. So let's talk about that for a second then. What are the challenges that the hospitality industry is facing? What are they facing right now? The hotels, the destinations. What is it that they're facing where you think that mobile can actually help, resolve or help contribute to their growth?
I think probably one of the key things that the hospitality industry are looking to mobile to help them with is loyalty. So they want to get in the conversation with their customers, whether it's a first or second time customer, or it's their customer who's part of some loyalty program, right, in a hotel. And these are all very, very common marketing initiatives that all hospitality or many hospitality companies engage in, is finding ways to keep that traveler in their hotel and not flitting around like butterflies looking for the best deal or the newest place that has the coolest bar or whatever, is to engage them and lock them in as a loyal customer, so that every time I go to any city, I'm going to Holiday Inn or Sands or whomever it might be, they're locked in as a customer. Because obviously the new technology also gives the customer the ability to make choices very easily. Right?
Yeah, and I think that what mobile's done is it's kind of reduced brand loyalty, right? And it's kind of refocused the consumer for the most part on a price comparison, on a price loyalty. Is that sites
True.
like Hotwire and similar like Hotels.com, you're often getting at the low price. That's what the attraction is.
Right. So for the hospitality industry, the question is, how do I uncommodify something that should not be commodified? Because a hotel is a lot more than just the price of the room, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, for example, I was just in Toronto, and I stayed at the Four Seasons Hotel. I don't often stay at the Four Seasons Hotel. What ends up happening with this is something very simple. It's funny because small things make a difference, like free shoe shines.
exactly.
Right? Free shoe shines. Every night, you put up your shoes by 1 o'clock in the morning on your door, and every morning by 7 a.m. they arrive shined.
So therein lies the rub, is how do I communicate to the customer that I am better than the competition because I offer free shoe shines, and you may never experience that before, or free soup pressing, or a happy hour where it's actually a lot of fun to go downstairs to actually a nice bar you might not have actually visited. So, for example, if you were in New York, for example, you could go to any bar of 20 billion different bars in New York City, right?
Yep.
So how do I keep my customer in the hotel and actually once in a while think of taking a drink in the hotel rather than going outside, right? So mobile offers the opportunity to communicate to your customer and your visitor what's going on in the hotel and what are all the things they should know. Number one, to take advantage of them while they're there. Number two, drive revenue for the hotel so that some of these things are paid services that you might actually make money on and get them buying these without them knowing it. And then finally, to build some loyalty so they go that, oh, you know what, I really like this hotel because they're the guy that do the shoe shines.
Well, and so, I mean, how does mobile facilitate this? Is it just about awareness making? Is it about like, Foursquare tries to do these things, but Foursquare is there to kind of get you in your hotel and then find out what's within walking distance from you.
Right, but that might be to drive you out of the hotel.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
That's doing exactly the opposite.
But that's what they're up against. So
Right.
Are hotels looking at this and saying, listen, you know what, we've got to create our own apps. It's better on the web. I mean, how do they there's two messages that they're trying to market. One of them is the facilities that, listen, stay in here. There's a lot going on we've got for the hotel. Well, maybe there's three. Stay with us the next time you are in a city with a hotel like ours. Then it's once you're in the hotel, how do we keep you in the hotel for a little bit longer, get a little bit more of your pocket into the hotel? And then the third one is market the services that this hotel offers so that you can actually feel like you're getting an additional value. Yeah. That's a tall tale.
Well, one of probably the most common mobile marketing tactic that's being used now is simple SMS. It could also be MMS as well, but it's the idea of having someone opt in to a group so that I know to message you while you're in the hotel, right? And to give some sort of value of being in a club or being having let's call it this, a secondary concierge, right? This is a concierge that doesn't sit behind a desk, but this is a concierge that's in your pocket all the time, so that when I want to know something or you have something to offer me, I don't have to go up to the desk to know it. I'm actually communicated while I'm maybe out walking around in the middle of the day. I get a message that says, hey, remember, or just a heads up, tonight is luau night at the hotel, and we're having free Mai Tais for guests, right? Come on by for a Mai Tai and meet other guests by the poolside, right? That kind of thing.
Well, what I love, so take a look at the latest version of iOS, is that they have proximity in the to-do application that says basically when I leave this location, make sure that I get a message out, remind me to take my shoes with me or whatever. I mean, you see hotels engaging in things like that, right? Where it's before they're too far away from the hotel, it's just kind of like one last attempt to pull them back. Do they play in that space?
Yeah, so so proximity and location-based messaging is key. You can do that via SMS using location-aware messaging. So you could know when someone's in the hotel, or you can know when they're outside of the hotel, or you could know when they've left the hotel. You could know which hotel they're closest to, so you can send them messaging based on separate communications. Each different hotel property might want to communicate. So if someone joins, for example, a loyalty club, and part of their loyalty club is joining the SMS component of messaging from their preferred or a hotel that they have some sort of loyalty to. Yep. If the hotel could know when they're at home or when they're in a property, it's key to be able to message against that knowledge of whether they're actually staying with you or not.
I mean, I think that... that's
because
so key.
The message you're going to give them when they're not in the hotel is, hey, this weekend we have a special on the Las Vegas Weekender Away. Come on by. We have rooms for $97 off. Or we have special upgrades for all members where we have a presidential suite awaiting you if you come by this weekend. Those kind of things, that kind of marketing of right message, right person, right time is very key. So you can do that in SMS. You can do that with MMS, and in MMS you can do it even more enticingly. So you can say, "Hey, weekend special away. Take your wife to La Jolla for the weekend, and check out some of the seaside rooms available." And then you press on a thumbnail image, and it plays back a video that gets you really, really excited to go to that property for the weekend.
So, I mean, when you look at this, is that, can you break it down to that way? It's like pre-stay, or when you're in that deciding mode, then when you're in the hotel, and then when you're...
It's all the above.
Okay.
It's pre-stay, it's while you're on the property, and then after you've left the property to give someone the proper marketing message after they've left.
Okay. And I mean, that's got to be the flow, right? Is that, listen, you stayed at this hotel...
It's the customer journey. I mean, this is something that people are familiar with in terms of marketing. You map out the customer's journey in their buying your service or buying your product. You chart out the customer journey first, and then you find all of the touch points within that journey for that customer, and then associate the right mobile channels to communicate or offer communications to that customer in their journey from the first thing of, I might want to... the first part of the trip or the customer journey. And it's funny that we're in the hospitality industry. It truly is a customer journey, right? It's not the theoretical customer journey of, all right, someone's going to buy an LCD TV. It's a real customer journey of, I'm at the point where, hey, I might want to get away this weekend, or I've got a business trip to New York. To the end one is they've arrived back home.
Yeah. And then, but even when they're at home, it just continues, right? The whole idea is to carry on that dialogue.
And that's probably the most important part because that's where you're actually driving revenue or real revenue of getting the rebooking for the hotel.
Well, I mean, I see it as multiple channels of revenue here because it is. It's about getting them while they're sitting on the couch or they're deciding where to go, when they're going to go, and what hotel they're going to stay at. But then, so that's one piece. If you can just convince them to spend 2 extra nights a year or 3 extra nights a month, whatever it is going to be, it's very key. But then it's also in wallet. So, you know, what we always hear about these, you know that hotel restaurants are overpriced, and some of them are very good, but most of them are just overpriced. So everybody kind of comes to stay, and you know that old adage that says, look, you know, a hotel room I only needed to sleep in because I don't eat there, I don't do anything else there, I don't participate in anything there. So then it's about the hotels just trying to say, okay, let's just keep you in a little bit longer, get you into the restaurant, get you into the bar. So huge.
But even simple stuff, you'd be amazed. Even the most simple stuff is absolutely key to the consumer. Like, for example, when's the last time I can get a meal, right? How many business travelers travel late and they're wondering, can I actually, is there going to be a restaurant in the hotel open late enough for me to eat?
Yeah.
Or are they going to be open early enough for me to get breakfast?
Right.
And have that information. How do I get that information? I mean, it's not easy. Probably the easiest way to get it is actually be able to refer to your phone and pull that information easily from your phone.
Well, and that begs it. Like we've seen a lot of companies right now, and who have gone into this tactical. Hotels have. I mean, I saw the most ridiculous app from the Holiday Inn. I think it was a Holiday Inn, and if I'm wrong, then I apologize to Holiday Inn. Where it was like a business trivia app, where you know they'd throw up a word like ROI. And then it would be a competition to see who could get that word faster or who knew the definition of this. And it was a points-based system. And I thought, why would they waste any money doing something like that for the business traveler, and make an urban dictionary for business travelers or for business people? Like, what are they thinking that were they putting money into something like that?
Well, I'm far from me being the person to criticize people on marketing plans because every person is guilty of their own silly ideas. So,
what should a hotel do? Like
what they're trying to do there is engage the customer, right? In some shape or form. Now, how you engage them, the important thing is to ask the key questions before you do any of this mobile stuff is, who's your audience and what are you trying to achieve, right? Those are the obvious things that you want to do. But in terms of the messaging, one of the key things for me is defining the needs of the customer. So CRM-based messaging and segmented-based messaging has a key place to play in this whole conversation. In having people opt in to messaging. So if you're going to opt me in for messaging, you better know who I am and what I want, right? So if I am, for example, interested in valet services like getting my shoes shined or getting my suit pressed or whatever, if that's important to me and it seems like it's important to you,
it is now.
Yeah, well, I should know that before I send you a message, right? So in the opt-in to these types of messaging services, when they opt in, many people make their reservations by online, and they get an email confirmation back, right? Yeah. Well, when that person is making their reservation, you can also ask them or you could capture some key needs of theirs, right? Yep. As they're making their reservation, saying, we have a virtual concierge or a mobile concierge or whatever you want to call it, who can actually cater to your needs. If you tell me what you need while you're staying here, I can make sure that I give you information and offers and deals and whatever is valuable messaging to you. I'll make sure that I'm not just sending you a one-size-fits-all message, but I'll be actually cognizant of what your real needs are while you're here. And that can be achieved very easily by doing profile and preference capture when they're making reservations, and then use that information for segmented messaging when they arrive and after they arrive too. So all of this, if you ask somebody what they want, they're more likely to talk to you, right?
Well, you know what? It's so important to do that. But when does that data become overwhelming? I mean, when do you roll this out quickly? Do you roll this out in pieces? Like, do you say, obviously, when I travel to the States, the newspaper that I want is the New York Times, not the not the Wall Street Journal. Like that kind of stuff seems to me that it's logical, right? So you don't have to ask me. I don't have to put anything on my door. You just deliver it because this is my pattern, right?
Right. So in terms of messaging services, you don't want to get too detailed, right?
Yeah.
So, or you may have levels of granularity, right? So you can have one page where you say, okay, if you'd like to complete our quick survey, right, for your needs, then just, you have 8 choices of important things that you would want to know about them, right?
Yes.
Are they a business traveler or are they a vacation traveler, right? Yeah. Are they in, whatever those things might be, that can be captured very easily. But to take a step back, some hotels or some hospitality companies aren't even quite ready for CRM-based marketing. Yeah. So you can use a one-size-fits-all marketing model where, okay, this is mission-critical information that would probably apply to everybody, which might be, if you're a Las Vegas hotel, you can make people aware about the $2.99 steak dinner, right?
Right.
To keep them in the hotel, and they're more likely to stay at the hotel, and more likely to be gambling at the hotel if they ate dinner there, right? So those kind of things, there's plenty of marketing message that goes across the board. So that's a no-brainer. That's easy to do. Then as you take your next step, then it might be very high-level profile capture. And then as you get really involved, you may give the customer the opportunity to say, you know what, our virtual valet would like to know as much about you as possible so that we assure that you'll get very, very focused information and messaging that you will find very valuable when you're staying with us.
So is that the way that it happens here? Is it, there's this, we've gone through this phase, the check-in economy, where it's been discounts, right? Which is I suppose it, everybody has their different views on it, but it's good and it's bad, I suppose, right? It's good for the consumer.
It depends on the business, though. Right. If you're a Las Vegas casino, I mean, that type of restaurant marketing is key to their whole marketing plan, right? They've been doing it since the door opened, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So that kind of stuff is very important. So you want to make sure someone knows about the $2.99 steak, right? Or the $1.99 all-you-can-eat pancake breakfast, right?
Or lose $10,000, you stay in the penthouse, right?
Exactly.
Hey, it's free. Well, not really, exactly. but what I asked though is that so we've gone through this just on a general standpoint, like so taking out Vegas, but just on a general standpoint, we've gone through this kind of check-in here, we'll give you a discount, entice you to come, we'll give you a discount, those kind of things.
But that's just part of the messaging. That could be one message out of 40, right? Or one message out of 20, whatever the case may be.
But I mean, when you now what you're selling on is a deeper connection with the customer, right? Which is a deeper understanding of who they are, and is it about incremental kind of knowledge? You build up incremental knowledge about you who are staying at the hotel, for example, and then you become familiar, and the brand that you stay at is the brand that knows you the best. So it's like I fly Air Canada. I love Air Canada because
has nothing to do with you being Canadian, by
well, yeah, maybe. But I've got a new love for Delta and Virgin because they have Wi-Fi, right? That's something that is like, okay, now I'm looking for flights with Wi-Fi, and that's where I'm going to fly. Right. But so I had a great experience at the Four Seasons where when I checked in, they gave me a card. It said, handwritten, hi, Rob Woodbridge on the front, and it was signed and all this kind of stuff. Welcome, these are the services that we offer. So they start to know me a little bit more. The next time I go in, they're going to say, hey, Mr. Woodbridge, thank you for coming back. How are your kids? Yeah. Right. It kind of, and then all of a sudden, that's my brand.
You did have kids. How important is that to know kid services, right? That's mission critical to know that they have they got a video room, that they have people there that'll watch your kids. You can go gamble and we'll take care of them. Their kids can stay and go, have more fun than you're having gambling. All that kind of stuff is really, really, really important.
So how do they do this? Like, there's low-hanging fruit. We've talked about that. That kind of all-encompassing message. When you get in there, this is what's going on in here. When you leave, don't forget that this is what's happening. There's a luau. Right. There's a happy hour.
Right.
But what are some of the other ideas that you've seen that have been successful?
Some other ideas. So those are really sort of engagement. Obviously, there's pure sales of taking the bookings via a mobile phone. Yeah. So a mobile internet site is a key component for a hospitality business. So
let me ask you that: is it mobile web versus app? Is this a clear delineation between these two for the hospitality industry? Do they build an app?
They serve very, very similar functions.
Okay.
And I would be one to posit the opinion, not the fact, that an app today, the abilities of an app are starting to pale in terms of the advantage over the browser experience.
Right.
Especially
what
with
kind
the
of
advent of HTML5, there are things that used to be solely the purveyance of apps that are now available to standard browser sites.
But when you say that, like when you talk about that, is it not just it's functionality for sure, right? HTML5 is you can have a very app-like experience in the browser now on these devices.
Correct. So some of the things like being able to store content locally on the handsets, you're not always pinging the server to get new information. Right. Built-in location-aware services. It used to only be the ability of an app. This is now possible with standard sites. Rich media playback is now seamless within the page. Yeah. There's a whole litany of different features that are now basically the distinction between an app and a site now is becoming very narrow. But what we do know that's very important is that in terms of all mobile users in the U.S. That are accessing travel services. Today in the United States, 8.5 million people have accessed travel services via a standard mobile web browser, and only 4.1 million have accessed travel services via an app. Yeah. And bringing up right behind the apps, 3.5 million people have accessed travel services via SMS. So SMS is almost as deep in penetration as applications. So I think there's probably a bit of a skewing or a misperception out in the market of what the traveling customer is actually doing with their phone. And what it really is they're using the web to interact with the hospitality companies.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So combined, what you're saying, that combined with SMS and app, web dwarfs those two combined.
Well, they equal. So what is I'll do the math. 7.6 million versus 8.5 million. Yeah. So app plus SMS
doesn't equate to web.
Browser. Yep. Yeah.
So I mean that's a staggering thing. Like most people have run to the app, right, and just said, listen, we need an app for this, and whereas most of people are using the standard web browser, the mobile web.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's the web to them, though, right? That is the internet to them, and the reality is you can do some very simple things within a mobile internet site without having to do full-blown integration with reservation backends and infrastructure and all of that. A simple click-to-call is a very, very effective tool.
So true.
But if you could play back a video, give me information about your hotel, convince me that, wow, that looks like a really nice place to stay. I've seen the rooms. Yeah. I've seen a video about that's giving me a little tour of the place. That looks like a perfectly fine. I'm excited to stay there. If you can give me the ability to purchase, it doesn't have to be a enter your credit card and all of that. Yeah. Of course, that's been implemented and you can do that. But if you had a simple click to call, if you've convinced me I want to stay there, and then you give me a link that when I click on that link, it calls somebody to make a reservation, then that's pretty effective. Now, from the hospitality business's point of view, they would rather you be doing it by yourself rather than having to pay a human being to actually take the reservation. But in both scenarios, you'd rather get the call for the reservation than not. Right?
Yeah, like you want somebody to stay there.
Yeah, right? But of preference, you can also create a completely seamless interface in a mobile internet site that will take the reservation and do it exactly as it would on the web.
One of the things that I always love, I love the model of UberCab, right? Which is basically, I need a cab, click.
Right.
Get your GPS coordinates. It signals a cab for you, and then you go take the ride, and then you get out of the cab, and you don't give them a credit card. It goes right on your credit card. It would strike me that hotels should look at this as a way of saying, listen, I need to go to this place. I'm a member, or a card carrying member, a loyalty member of these 3 hotels. Right. Go to the World. So say I go to the Four Seasons, for example, or the W. And
I've seen really good deployment. Marriott does this very well because obviously Marriott has hotels all over the world, so they do it very well. Where you can start from zero, where it's I need a hotel, and Marriott has absolutely no idea who you are, where you might want to go, and they have the actual engine in their mobile internet site that asks what city are you going to? Here's the choices. Here's the different hotel choices. Pick your hotel. It takes you through the whole user flow that you would experience in a standard online web website.
But I would say once I'm a loyalty card owner or member of this, is that what I'd love to be able to do is be able to, say log in, for example, or have it stored as in a mobile wallet, but then say, listen, I'm going to New York, confirm. Right? Like one button on the website says, I'm going to be in New York tomorrow night, confirm. Right. So I don't worry about anything. I don't worry about the reservations. What I do is I just confirm. And then I show up at that hotel, right? It sends me an email reservation, obviously, or confirmation. But so click to call is important, but one button confirmation, like UberCab, where it's just I'm in, I'm done, right? And it credits my loyalty card. It does all those kind of things, and that can be done over the web. So why?
Well, it is being done. So you'll see there were some of the more forward-thinking hospitality companies are giving the end user access to their loyalty accounts. They have, obviously PIN login, and they give you access to everything you would have on the standard web.
Yeah. Well, we got to start thinking about that instead of going through channels, like through, click here, fill in your name, submit, click here, give us your credit card, submit, click here, click here, click here. It's more like that stuff should be somewhere. If I've stayed there, let me just get my room.
Right, it is, and it exists. There are brands out there that have that integration, and that's all back-end integration, right? So that you know who I am, you validate that you are who you are on that phone, and then you have access to all the services in terms of reservation and confirmation and loyalty management, and all those things are all accessible via your mobile device.
What about boutique hotels? Like, the one hotel in New York City or the one hotel in San Jose that isn't a big chain, that doesn't have the infrastructure to do this, but still needs to rise above to attract people to stay at their hotel. How do those guys use mobile?
Well, it's obviously finding them is going to be key, right? So part of that is going to be a fold-in of your actual promotional marketing plan, right? So your banner display ads, how people get to you, whether it's organic search via the search engines or banner ads in other portals or sites. However they get there, if they gain interest or they've come up in a search, right? You want that single click through to your sales pitch as a hospitality company, right? Or a hotel in this case, right? So once you've seen something that's an ad or whatever, and it goes, oh, that looks like an interesting hotel, or, oh, that's an interesting search return, right? Let me check that out. When you click on that, you're going to have about 25 seconds or 30 seconds to present something to that customer to convince them to consider you as the place they'll stay, right? Yeah. And that's where all the rich media comes in and all of that in my pocket access to really sexy sales pitches, right? Because nothing sells a hotel better than pictures, right? Right. You can't, it's very difficult to sell a hotel with words. So what you really need is the sexiness of video and images accessible from that anytime, anywhere device, which is the mobile device, to be able to see that 30-second trailer. And it could be it might be as easy as putting the $1 million ad that you shot for TV, making that ad accessible so someone can see that to make a decision or be influenced to stay at your property based on whatever your best foot forward was in terms of your media promotion.
And then, it's is it about promoting what's around, or is it just, are you really trying to, our hotels these days, are they trying to promote what's within? Well,
that's the convenience thing too, though. So maybe some of your stickiness might be, you might decide strategically, part of my stickiness of people using my mobile environment for Hilton hotels or for W hotels or whatever it is, is that if I perceive as an end user that whenever I go to that W site, right, if I'm staying at a W or not staying at a W, you can get more eye time on that site if you provide the utility of what's going on around me when I'm there. So there are people, and again, there are people like, I'll quote again, the Marriott site and other Las Vegas sites are very good at letting people know what they can do once they're there. And they do either have proprietary information and media about the city that they're staying in or things to do or that type of information, either directly from their own database and their own offering, or they link you out to other third-party sources that do it really well as well. But the key here is to keep people within your brand environment, right? And if I find great utility with the W Hotel about New York, or the Sands Hotels about Las Vegas, or the Marriott, wherever you happen to be, about that city, if I perceive utility in that place, then that's where they'll also see the offers and the loyalty offers or information. You want their eyes in your house, not in someone else's house.
Yeah, you definitely want people to remain within this, and I think that's a big thing when it comes to hotels is that they're no longer just that shelter, right? Because they're becoming a little bit more than that. They're offering, certainly the amenities are pretty incredible. So we've talked about these things around like leveraging the mobile web, which is a big thing for discovering and for we've given some great ideas around this, around how to use the mobile web to actually enhance or entice people or come back to them. But I'm amazed that I've spent a lot of time, in a number of weeks, staying in hotels across the country, Canada and the United States, and none of these guys have come back to me with anything. None of them have. I've stayed at these hotels. But they haven't sent me an email. They haven't sent me an SMS. They haven't sent me any kind of anything, which is staggering to me. Some of the good hotels. So how much of a failure is that, or how much of a not a failure? How much of an opportunity is that for these guys?
I don't want. Yeah, there is a massive opportunity that's being looked at, and they're all doing it. It's a question of them becoming comfortable within their own organizations on how to deploy this, and it can be daunting. I mean, we work with very, very large hotel companies that are international in scope, yeah. And we've actually created specific platform solutions specifically for the hospitality industry, because there's some very specific needs in terms of international messaging, how you manage long codes versus short codes, in terms of being able to do your messaging. And how you actually set up messaging platforms that allow local control of messaging, because not all messaging is going to come from the top of the tower, right? You're going to need to create systems and enable systems where not only can the corporate side manage marketing and message to the end user, but it's not about corporate messaging, it's also about local messaging, so that the local manager of that franchise of that hotel property can actually do their own messaging and control their own messaging to their guests within their own hotel, which is no mean feat. So
how do they do it? But they should be doing it, right?
They should be, and they've part of it has been their it's been their need to find somebody who can actually satisfy their specific vertical needs, and that's why a company like ours has actually taken the time, resources, and actually spent the money to develop a tool set that is specific to hospitality needs.
It's so important. I just would have expected something, right? In this time, even an email or something that would have said, hey, listen, Rob, thank you for staying. And even on a reservation, when I made a reservation, I was in San Diego, I stayed at the Holiday Inn Express, and this is not a high-end hotel, but I got to tell you, I chose it because it was the cheapest price I could find on Hotwire, which is a strike, right? Like against everything else. I said, I'm willing to pay this, go. Yeah. Second thing is that I got there and I didn't know the amenities that they had. I made the reservation. They didn't reach out to me and say, listen, hey, we'll pick you up at the airport for free. So I took a cab in, and then they told me after the fact, when I was leaving, in fact, a couple of days later, that, oh, you know what, we'll take you for free. And then it was...
That's the magic of location-aware messaging.
Yeah.
So it's really contingent on the organizations to understand the value of that and then be willing to invest in their customer experience to provide that kind of value-added service to make them more loyal customers. I mean, to be honest, there's, in defense of the hospitality industry, there's a billion things they can do to make the customer happy, right?
Yeah.
They have to decide within their resources what things they're going to do and what their choices will be in terms of making the customer happy. Thankfully, the advent of some of these mobile services, especially with location-aware abilities, is very, very cost-effective. It's not hyper-expensive. So,
well, that was my next question. Is that can you get into this, on a budget?
Yeah, it really depends, and of course, how deep do you want to go? How much integration do you want to do with your reservation systems? So there are different levels of investment. You can have very effective sort of general messaging capabilities, which is very, very inexpensive. And of course, again, that depends on how you want to control that and how many properties you have.
Yep.
Because the larger your organization and the more properties that you have and the more international your enterprise, then obviously it will require more substantial time and investment. But then thankfully the larger organizations have larger budgets, so it's sort of they correspond well to each other. So if you're a little small hotel, you can still do mobile-based marketing very inexpensively and make it a really good addition to your marketing mix for not very much money. But it's going to be, a more
broad.
Yeah, it'll be more of a basic messaging offering, and your mobile internet site may not have all the bells and whistles of a major corporation site, but that's true of any marketing, right?
It's true. Well, but I guess the key here is that there's no reason why you shouldn't start. There is
no reason. In fact, it is a massive error, because by definition, your customer is mobile. So that's all I really have to say to hospitality companies out there.
Is Two lines.
Definition, your customer is mobile. So if you're not using the mobile channel to address your customer, you're really missing the point.
And I think that we've illustrated that throughout this conversation that there are some generic ways, broad ways to be effective in this area, just to get into this area,
Yeah.
And I think just based on your statistics, that there are more people that are accessing hotel information and reservation systems from the mobile web than from an app and SMS.
And if you're if you have your direct marketer cap on as a hospitality business, 20% of mobile users who've received a travel-based message have responded to it.
20%.
Yes. So you tell me another marketing channel that gives you 20% conversion on messaging.
Yeah, and it's not the ad in the when you land at the airport.
No,
this is one of the misguided things, right? You land and there's a big Holiday Inn sign. It's like, well,
yeah.
You've missed it. You've missed that opportunity. Don't spend it there. Spend it on the mobile space.
Yeah. I agree. And again, the in for mobile is relatively very, very inexpensive compared to some of the other things that you might be spending money on.
Well, that's great, Michael. You know what? This is only one industry, and I think we've just kind of skimmed the surface of kind of what companies can do in this industry in order to be able to start to bring mobile into it and start to affect their bottom line. Mm-hmm. Customer loyalty and bringing customers and customer retention, bringing them back is very important. And mobile, we know that can help. I can't imagine all the other verticals.
Yeah. And one of the verticals I'm really hot on right now is MMS. The United States is now coming around to MMS, and to me, the opportunities in MMS is interesting in that it's kind of like it's a halfway house between mobile internet and SMS.
Yeah.
In that it has all the immediacy and the sort of the direct marketing characteristics of SMS, but it's rich media like internet. So it's a great way to, if you want to send a focused message to somebody and have someone really pay attention to one idea that you're trying to convey to someone, and then communicate it through rich media, the opportunities for MMS are really, really powerful. So that's my thought of the day is that
MMS.
I'm a big buyer on MMS. I really like it melds together multimedia and the best of direct marketing in ways that direct marketing has never been able to do it. It's like, think of it this way, it's like getting a flyer delivered to your doorstep, and you pick it up and it starts playing a video.
Exactly. That's pretty amazing. And so, have you done any implementation with MMS yet, or are you just?
Yeah, we have very deep international capabilities for MMS, and it's something that a lot of our major brands and publishers are becoming very, very interested in that it's easy to implement. It's because building a site can be daunting to some people. It's like, okay, where do I start? Okay, now I have to build a house, right? And I have to decide what the windows look like and what color it's going to be and what furniture I'm going to put in and all of that kind of stuff, right?
Yep.
What's not daunting is to decide, you know what, I just want to send this message and have it be video playback.
Yeah.
And to be able to decide on a single message is a lot easier than trying to decide on how I'm going to create multiple messages within one environment.
Well, I like that, and it's the directed approach, right? Writing right to the person
Right.
And it's not a happenstance that they come across your website. This is a customer that that's given you permission to communicate with them this way. And
Think of it, think of it this way: a bus stop that has an advertisement for a weekend getaway. It says text message getaway to 12345. I do that. I'm still at the bus stop. 30 seconds have elapsed. I press on that picture, and all of a sudden, I'm going to get a 2-minute sell to why I should go to the beach resort this weekend and take my wife away on that special weekend.
And then book it.
And book it. Yeah. That's really, really, really powerful.
God, I love it. The more you dive into it, the more this industry is staggering, and the impact that it's going to have is unbelievable. And and this is just one small sliver, right? This is just the hospitality. This is just a hotel, right?
Yeah.
A destination.
And what I encourage businesses of all of all kinds and all different verticals, encourage yourself and encourage your people in your company to do the what if question. In other words, what if I could do this? What if I could do, what if I could, give someone, what if I could have a thing that someone just, holds their phone up to it and then automatically my video about my hotel plays back, right? That exists today.
Yeah.
So, asking those questions is important because the answer probably is, you know what, you can do it right now.
Yeah. And the second thing that you should be doing, that if you can do it right now, do it right now. I think is
well. That's the The other thing is, and as anything in life, it's all in the doing, right?
Yeah, it is, Michael. I can't thank you enough for this. Certainly this industry, it needs some help. It's a very competitive space. It's a landscape that is gone from a loyalty, a deep loyalty. In Canada we have the CN, the CP hotels, which are beautiful hotels, and there was a brand loyalty back then. But now, there's so many different areas, and Airbnb comes in here and kind of starts to disrupt this, and these hotels are scrambling. So it's good to know that, and it's good to hear that mobile is a way that these guys can start to regain some of that brand loyalty that they've lost over the years. And
it's the competitive edge, without a doubt. Yep.
So I'm going to direct people to iLoopmobile.com. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's a great place to direct them.
It's either that or some other,
Exactly.
We've talked about a bunch of the brands here, but is there one? I want to finish here. Is there one hotel chain that you look at and say these guys are on the right track that we can kind of highlight for the folks who are listening or watching still?
Yeah, we have. I believe we've done some work, and these will be people we've worked with. So that's the disclaimer. But just so you know, things to check out. Sands Hotels, the Palazzo and the Venetian have built very good sites. So if you want a great example of how hotels are doing mobile-based web marketing, those are places to go, and look to other large brands out there. And something for people to do, one of the opt-ins that exist is what all the hotels are doing, or if they do have mobile initiatives, is that the concierge should be telling you when you check in, would you like to join our SMS service while you're here, right? So
I've never been asked that.
Well, so that's a very simple way for hotels to promote it. So you don't have to spend a lot of money promoting your services. You can simply have the people to check and say, would you like to join our SMS service? Great, text message Hotel X to 12345 and you'll join. And
you know what? What I've been finding is that if people haven't set up a text message system yet, ask the question anyways, right?
Yeah.
Get their permission so that when you do, because you will, you'll be able to start to communicate with them. Don't wait. Ask them now. That doesn't mean you have to send them anything right away, but just get them engaged, right?
Well, it's a good idea to send them something because there's a disappointment factor if someone was actually excited about getting something and nothing happens, then that's not the most positive experience known to man.
Well, no. But that's another lesson. So, I mean, would you like to join our SMS loyalty program? I mean, that's pretty simple. Go and do that.
Yep. It's a very and again, this could be done at the individual. You don't need the the corporation to set this up for you. If you're an individual hotel or if you're an individual franchise, and you feel that you would love to be able to set something like this up, then it's very easy to. Seriously, this is a couple of days to set up and have running.
I love it, Michael. Thank you so much for this last tip. I loved it very much. You can find Michael and his entire company at iLoopmobile.com. Some great case studies, and you can reach out. Can they reach out just at info@iLoopmobile.com?
Or go sales@iLoopmobile.com. because
Okay.
we are in the business. And also one more resource just to let you know is if you go to mmresources.net, there's something called the Mobile Marketing Resource Center
Yeah.
that we sponsor. It's not just us, but we actually aggregate information from all over the internet, from our competitors, from different
That's great.
brands, all different verticals. So if you want to learn more about mobile marketing, it's a repository of case studies and industry data and lots of free stuff that people usually pay a lot of money for.
mmresources.net.
mmresources.net.
Done. Michael, thank you so much. I really
Thank you
appreciate
very
it.
much. It's a pleasure being.
Thank you guys for watching and listening wherever you are. If you have any feedback on this, reach out at untether@gmail.com. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode of Untether.tv.
Bye.
See you later, everybody.
Bye.